Evening, everyone. Welcome to Premier League Forecast. For a change, it's me and Kev again because they can't get enough of us, can they? Kev, got a choice really. But just to make you all happy, we've got Joe back. Joe, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I really like the trippers. I like coming on. I get a lot of love in the comments as well, which is always nice. So that's nice. So yeah, I like the trippers. Where's Gav though?
He's got a very sick child apparently. So you know.
He's lying. I'm telling you. He's lazy.
You're a brave man to say that.
Shots fired.
Shots fired. Me and Kev would never make that joke. We like our job too much.
When are we going to figure out how to get paid?
Listen, that's why he's the money man. You know, he gets us to do it for free. He's good. He's good like that.
Good.
Yeah, but listen, footy's back. So it was back for us last night, Kev. Full time Reds. Back with a defeat.
Move on.
Yeah, back with a defeat. Start with me to go on, wasn't it? Okay, hell.
We covered that to death last night. We've had enough, man.
I know. But well, it is what it is.
We didn't see that. Do you know what was good though? And maybe it's just because of while the football was off, I tidied up my Twitter line an awful lot. I didn't see any of them. I didn't see. The
over the top stuff.
Yeah, the nasty stuff, chucking players under the bus on the back of one loss.
Yeah, no, I think
it was a breath of fresh air. The comments that I was seeing mainly online were, look, common sense stuff. Beaten by the better side on the night, 3-2. It happens. It was, it wasn't the be all and end all last night. It was
criticism.
It could have been a lot worse. Don't get me wrong. But we created enough chances to get something as well. So,
but it was criticism, but it was constructive.
Exactly.
The things we know, the chance we missed, the soft goals we conceded. Yeah. But have it right.
Live with that.
Have it right. City were brilliant last night. They were just miles better on the night. So as much as we don't like it,
take it on the chin, ain't you? You got to take it on the chin when that happens.
It is.
Or in my case, the mini chins.
I see Kevin wouldn't dare make that joke. Right. So let's start with. Rather start with the Boxing Day fixture. Let's start with one that's middle of next year. Oh, sorry, Wednesday. Leeds versus Man City, because apparently Man City need a massive gap. Me and Gav couldn't believe when we saw the fixture list. Went, City got played till the 28th. Jesus, wept. How big a gap's that? Just seems a bit of a weird way of doing the fixtures. So, Joe, are you looking forward to this? I mean, we've all got 2 days to wait. You've got 3 or 4 days to wait. Are you glad Premier League football's back, or could you do a bit more of a break?
I am glad Premier League football's back. I enjoyed the game yesterday as well. Is anyone else getting feedback from phone?
No. It's just Chris opening cans, mate.
No, it's Kev's phone and Kev's
my phone is out the gap, mate. My phone is out the way. It's not me.
Because I got a little bit on my show and I muted Kev and it stopped, so I think it might be Kev. But we'll
can't throw my phone away any further, man. For God's sake.
Yeah, but Kev, your phone's like a Nokia 1910. It's a big thing. He's got a dial it and everything.
Yeah. Now listen, I'm glad football's back. I enjoyed the World Cup, but I enjoyed that game last night as well. Really enjoyed watching that. And it was like, do you know? I guess I was a little bit worried that the World Cups. Will they come back will the football be as good? Will players be ready and raring to go? And I think we've seen last night, there's no messing about, people straight back on it. So that's daunting for me as a Leeds fan from a City perspective, because I worry about us defensively. And obviously when you've got De Bruyne putting balls onto Erling Haaland's head, boot, knee, whatever, it's going to end up in back at net. I'm convinced he's going to score at least 3.
You've got Llorente in his new contract though, so you should be all right now, shouldn't you?
The thing is, he won't even fucking play. I don't understand it.
Oh, where's my fishing rod? There we go. All right. For those of you who aren't following Leeds Twitter, Llorente's just been given a 3-year deal.
Yeah, 3-year deal.
Is it safe to say the locals aren't happy with this getting a new deal?
No, it doesn't make sense, bro. Like it just doesn't make sense. But hey ho, he'll be able to retire here and he'll be buzzing about that. So fair play to him. But from from a playing perspective. I just think it then calls into question our January business and our business moving forward, because, you know, everyone, I believe it's a system issue. There are fans that believe we're woeful defensively because our defenders are woeful. But if that's true and I'm wrong and it's not a system issue, then why are the club giving the defenders we've got new deals? Because everyone wants the defence to change, because they say it's not Jesse's fault the defence is rubbish. But then the club aren't going to do that because they're giving the defenders new deals. Strauch just got one, deservedly so, I may add. But then Llorente's got one as well. Koch's got a few years left. Are we not going to change the defence? And then for what are we going to do? You know what I mean? For me, I think the manager, I'm not too keen on him. It is what it is. And everyone thinks it's because I, you know, have an agenda because I like Bielsa or whatever. Yeah, I love Bielsa, but still, I don't want my football team to lose games. I'm worried that we'll be on the end of a hiding. But what I will say, Leeds United under Jesse actually do better against better opposition. We beat Chelsea, we beat yourselves, we played well against Spurs.
You get space in behind, which, let's be honest, you don't get against sides who aren't in the top half, because City are to dominate the ball, and that's what Brent before the World Cup, that's what Brentford did perfectly. They exploited the space behind. The one thing you do have is pace. Which can hurt them. Kev,
yeah, mate.
Feel like I've not spoken to you since last night.
That's fine. Yeah.
Speak to you more, speak to my wife these days. She's made up. Have you seen the comments about Calvin Phillips that have come out today?
No.
Apparently, Mr. Guardiola said, "Ask, you know, how's Calvin doing? Is he fit? You know?" And he apparently said, "Well, he's not injured." He said, "But he's come back to us overweight." Not good enough to train or play football. And Pep's going, I don't quite know how that's possible. Which, if that's true, A, way to throw your player on the bus, but B, how on earth are you going to a World Cup where you're just training? I know we didn't play much, but how are you going back for a World Cup overweight?
It's one of the. Look, the thing is, he hasn't played much anyway, and in truth, he probably shouldn't have gone. If there was anyone better in that holding centre mid role, he wouldn't have gone, and it wouldn't have been a slight on him. It would have been, look, he's just not played enough. But there isn't anyone else, and it's not a good look. You know, if you're fit and healthy, and you've just signed for a new club for a healthy fee, and you've been away with your international,
he's got a 6-year deal.
Yeah, exactly. It's not as if they skimped on this deal. They went in big with him. So, and here you are. You know you're coming up against your old club. You're going to want to put yourself in contention to play and to affect the game. To come back overweight or not fit, despite getting over your injury, that's not going to go down well. And that's not going to go down well with Guardiola especially. Because it's not a good look for England, but at the same time, nobody else is coming back unhealthy. Nobody else is coming back not ready to play.
That we're aware of.
That we're aware of. But even in the Carabao Cup games, Marcus Rashford come back and he hit the ground running. You know, Trent, we know, was missing through illness, but Henderson was on the bench and played. You know, so look, it's going to be one that'll play out over the next few weeks. But for Calvin Phillips' sake, I hope he gets back, gets his head back in the ball game, and
he's going to end up being he's going to end up being the next Scott Parker, where you just end up waiting on the bench for a couple of years, and then you end up getting farmed out. You know, he's worked hard to get his big move, so you need to take the opportunity. And let's be honest, it's not like City aren't stocked in midfielders with Gundogan and Rodri who can play the holding role. So his opportunity is going to be limited anyway. So he's not giving himself the best opportunity.
I mean, the thing is, he's the kind of guy who has to sharpen his elbows to push someone out the way. And if you're at a side like City, with the depth of talent that they have and the ability to go again in a transfer window, you have to have sharp elbows and you have to be soul-minded in the way you approach things. And he just has to get that streak into him. That, you know, if you're fit and healthy, the best chance to make yourself available is to be fit. And to be not just fit the way Pep wants you to be fit, because the durability that Guardiola gets in that midfield is phenomenal. You know, the amount of times you look at that squad,
it doesn't change a lot, does it?
It doesn't change much. The core of the starting 11 might change, but the core of the 18 that he picks from doesn't.
Mm.
You know, and to get into that 18 and to put yourself in contention, you have to be physically bang on. And the thing is, when he's going to be a force. You know, and I firmly believe that.
I'm really, really shocked. I haven't seen. This is the first I've seen that news.
Yeah, it was on. I think the thing is the City Extra. They always get retweeted. Yeah, so they're a regular like aggregator for City news.
Yeah, no, I've just seen it, but I'm really shocked that.
That's why I always get your reaction because it seems that that's what I mean. It seems from what you. Well, we don't know the lad, but you know, from what the impression you get of a player, you know, you're thinking like that seems very unlike him.
Unlike him, like
unless with the injury, is he just struggling to do regular training? Which,
he's on a lot of money. Listen, I doubt it, but he's on a lot of money now on a 6-year deal. It can do a lot to people. You know what I mean? You just never know, do you? He might have just gone. Yeah. I'm nice here for 6 years. I doubt it because I love Calvin, but
not a good look. Ocean's asking you: is half the Leeds team out with illness at the moment? Rodri's got a hamstring injury. I was like, I thought I'd ask you because if anyone knows, you'll know.
We might be without Melier because he's had glandular fever. Click, Rodrigo, Somerville, Cooper. There is a lot of issues, but we're told, you know, they'll be training. I'm not convinced. We might even be depleted against City, which makes it even harder. So I think I'm really disappointed for Somerville because he was one of the most informed players. He'd scored 3 and 3, and then now it's a knock. So disappointing.
Yeah, I think that's the problem at the moment, Kev. Quite a few clubs are having this all being struck by a virus. Like you said, go from a very hot country back to the coldness of England. You like to catch a cold or catch something, aren't you?
We were saying it last night that basically anyone who's anyone knows that winter bugs go around. Mm-hmm. During COVID, with the restriction of movement, the mask wearing and what have you, it didn't happen. People weren't getting flus. They weren't getting those type of winter viruses that you normally expect. This year, just across the board in general life, I know from work and from kids in school, they're rife at the minute. And you get a bug like that, an illness like that, a virus that just sweeps through a squad. It can decimate you. It might only be for a week or two, you know, while it runs its course. But at the same time, it can floor 5 or 6 players in no time. Especially if you're talking about a chest infection.
But a week in football, a week in the Premier League is about 5 games now.
Well, look, no, in all seriousness, if you're talking about this time of year, someone like we're going to talk about Liverpool later with Bobby Firmino with a slight calf strain that could miss 2-3 weeks. That's a lot of football. That's a lot of points.
Yeah.
You know.
So what we go for score prediction? This I've gone for 3-1 City. What have you gone for, Kev?
Look, on the basis of what I saw last night, I went 4-1. I honestly was really impressed with how City went at us and how they pressed us and how they suffocated us in large parts of that game and how good Kevin De Bruyne was. I was on Joe's channel earlier on tonight. I waxed lyrical about Kevin De Bruyne. Last night was as good as I've seen him in a long, long time. And he just looks like he's taken this failing in the World Cup personally. That he's just like, I'm not taking this criticism for what I'm doing at Man City. You know, he looks like he's got a point to prove, and he realizes as well that time isn't on his side. Time isn't his friend anymore.
Yeah, Pep comments on that, saying sometimes he almost like says he needs to be we need to see De Bruyne grumpy or angry. He said, and then he goes up a level. He says that's just within him. So you know.
Well, we often see that with players, don't we? That you see them with that arrogant. It's not an arrogance so much as a singular belief.
It's a bit of a pride or a challenge thing. How do I show you a little bit, or challenge themselves sometimes if they know they're not, things have gone the way they want.
Yeah,
show it on the pitch. I much prefer that way, which what Kevin De Bruyne does, which is other people who say, I'm really annoyed, and you hear it in the press for the next 3 weeks. And I'm a bit like, I don't want to hear it. Show me on the pitch. Don't show me in the papers. I couldn't give two shits.
No, but the other side of it is when Joe was talking there about the possible players that are missing for City, the likes of Somerville. Somerville offers you something that not many of the other Leeds forwards have, is just pure raw pace.
Yeah.
You know, Nonto, or I think that's how he's pronounced. Nonto. He's quick, but he's another one that it's he's really young. And sometimes youth in that position can be an asset, especially in a game like this where, you know, it's like, oh, this is what I am, this is what I'm all about. And this time of year you can get the scary results, but I think if Arsenal slip up against West Ham, which is possible, that could be the carrot that City need to go out and be more determined playing after what Arsenal are as well. Or on the other side, if Arsenal go out and win, City know they have to match that and just to keep pace. So, yeah, it's not a good. I don't think it's going to be a good few days for Leeds. That way.
So with the press, Joe. So this is the last time Joe's coming on the show now. He's like, I've had enough of this. This is rubbish.
Yeah, but to be fair, it's like you look at the games to come after for Leeds. That's the run they want. That's the run. This one is like, look, everyone is back. The fans are back on the ground. You know, you're going to get to see the guy that's next year that you haven't seen for 5-6 weeks because you've been away from football. The Christmas atmosphere is going to be there as well. So there's that side of it. The ground will be buzzing. But at the same time, I don't think that people with their common sense head on are going to be taking this result too personally. But what they will take personally is a performance. They'll still want to, like Joe, you were saying to me earlier on, there's ways of losing games. Yeah, you know, that's important.
You go down swinging, basically. Everyone goes, well, you expect to lose City, but if you go down swinging, people can stomach that a little bit more. Right, we'll do quick two games, quick fire, just a score prediction because they're not that interesting. We'll talk about more interesting games. London derby, Palace versus Fulham. Kev?
2-1 Palace.
I have the same. Joe, Palace versus Fulham.
1-0 Fulham.
Okey-doke. And South Coast derby, Southampton versus Brighton. I've gone 2-1 to Brighton. Joe?
2-0 Brighton.
Kev?
I've gone 1-1 with that one.
1-1. Good. Get that out of the way. Right. So cheer, Joe. We'll talk about something really dire. Let's talk about Everton versus Wolves. Wolves, 20th in the form table for the last 6 games. Everton, 19th in the form table for the last 6 games. Everton are above Wolves on goal difference in the form guide. So this is a proper 6-pointer because Wolves need to find some wins and find some wins quickly. And Everton are slowly slipping into this relegation battle, and it's kind of fallen into all habits of last year. But, Kev, as people may or may not know, we're sponsored by bookmakers, and they're going to be sponsors all the time from January. So, on the bookmakers website, not only are they a bookies, you know, they kind of more a bit like an aggregator to tell you where to go for your best bets. They have an interesting stats page, and they give you their predicted lineups. So, what we thought we might do is we'll have a look at what they think the lineups are going to be, and then sort of talk around the sides. So,
shoot.
They think the lineup for Everton's going to be Pickford in goal, Milenko, Cody, Tarkowski, and Patterson at the back. Drissage, Iwobi in the middle, and they've also then got Damari Gray, Anthony Gordon, and Mope, because I'm assuming Calvert-Lewin's still injured.
Think so, yeah.
God, how many more injuries does this lad need?
The guys, if he had no luck at all, you know, it's mad how unfortunate this guy is. But this is a game for, you know, who's going to be bottom going into the new year. Wolves have a new manager in Lopetegui, and they've got him in before the World Cup. So, and he's had a fair few players that have stayed at the club, you know, that didn't go to the World Cup. So he's had time to work with them, and we know he's a good manager. He's a really good catch for Wolves, and it just goes to prove that any club in the Premier League is attractive to managers, especially on the continent. You know, so it's like when a job comes up in the Premier League, it's it's amazing how many top tier managers are interested in these jobs.
I think the other side for Everton is I think they're assuming Onana's going to be back for them as well, which is, I'll be honest, he's probably the best signing Everton made. He gives them what they've missed is some real mobility in the middle.
Listen, you look at both of those sides. Both of those sides should not be where they are, but they are where they are. You know, and Everton were no different last year. They were shite last year, and they're shite now. It's just that this time they've spent money and they're still shite. So the only common denominator is the manager, and you have to look at it and say, look, you've been there Frank's been there for a while now. It's not as if he's a newbie. You know, he's been at that club now for a good while, and they can only flirt with danger so often.
Eventually,
before they go.
Well, we saw that with Sunderland for years.
Yeah,
you know, they flirted with it for 2-3 years. Eventually, if you don't get it right, it'll catch you out. But Joe, as head of the Frank Lampard fan club, what's your view on Everton and Wolves?
I think Wolves will win. I think Lopetegui's a great appointment. I think Wolves will start to climb up the table. They've already got, Mateus Cunha in the door. I think it'll be too short for him to be involved. Good player. Like, I know it's not worked out at Atletico, but I think he'll have a point to prove. So I think he's a good signing for them. I really like Aït-Nouri as well. I just think they needed a new manager in the door, and Lopetegui, like I say, I think he'll attract some decent players as well. Everton, look, he started to get a tune out of him for a little bit, and I started to question my thoughts on Lampard. I thought, actually, is he actually not that bad? But it's going tits up again, so I'm resigned to the fact that he's bad. Yeah, he's rubbish. And I thought it was quite telling where, I have a friend who's an Everton fan. His name is Dave, and they were all quite like, oh yeah, Frank's the man, Frank. But then you see the images of that game where I forget which was it when they played. It
was the last game, was it? Because Iwobi threw his shirt, so probably threw it. His shirt thrown back. There's a bit of back and forth with the fans, wasn't there?
Was it Bournemouth twice or something like that? I can't remember.
Both did twice in a week, didn't they?
Yeah. And I just seen that and I thought, whoa, that's quite telling, because the Everton fans were all supportive, and then all of a sudden they're throwing shirts back. So it can only get worse, and I'll enjoy it. And it also gives, because I struggle to know where or who are the three worst teams are, or who's going to go down. There's no clear cut this year. Like before we had Sheffield United and then we had Norwich and all that. And then now I look and think, I'm not sure who's going down. You just don't know. So the more teams that are down there in the mix is better for me, because we're in the mix. So I think we might see someone like a Southampton, even an Everton. We might lose them this year. We could go as well, but that won't be that big of a deal. We haven't been here long enough, you know what I mean? But a club like Everton, if they were to go down, it'd be insane for them, wouldn't it?
I think financially it'd cripple them.
Oh yeah,
it really would cripple them.
It's not just that; it's like they've never. I can't remember the last time Everton were out of top flight football. I mean, people look. It's a Liverpool fan, so we all can't stand them. But if Everton go down,
must be pre-war. You're talking. I've never known Everton not to be in the top flight.
Nor have I. And
so that's what I mean. That's how big a shock it would be. It is like one of the established, clubs that have been around for ages that are nearly always in the top.
But like you said, you can only flirt around that area so long before you get dragged in.
Yeah.
And you don't know what the ambitions of the owners are, whether they've got the capabilities of doing anything, or if they're able to financially. Is the stadium crippling them that much?
The talk is a lot of their FFP, a lot of their restrictions financially around FFP fall out this summer. Because I think because the rolling 3-year cycle.
Yeah.
So it's almost like they're banking on staying up this year, so then they can actually then probably reinvest in the squad and do what they want to do. But we know football, it's a quick turnaround. It only takes one bad season, and we've seen what it's happened to a few clubs. One bad season can do you.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, look, Wolves lead this. I'm looking at the table now. Wolves are sat on 10 points. they've lost 4 of their last 5 games. And they've drawn 1.
Same as Everton.
It's Everton are on 14 points. Wolves are on 10. They have to get a win, and Lopetegui is going to want to get off the mark run, off the mark quick, and he's going to want to stamp his authority on this side and style of play on this side.
Well, Jimenez scored midweek as well in Carabao Cup.
Yeah, and he dropped Wang into midfield as well. He dropped Wang deeper, so
yeah. There we go. Ocean saying 1951-52 was the last season Everton were in the second division. They've only ever been relegated twice in the history. So,
that's massive.
If it ever happens, you're talking these are like not a very often thing to happen, which often they don't want to happen. Right, we'll do score predictions. I've gone for a very exciting 0-0 because it just feels like it'll be drab. Kev,
I went 1-1, but
you went slightly more excited than me then.
The thing is, it depends on how many Wolves players, how many Portuguese players they get back and into their side. If they can get what's his name?
Ruben Neves and
Ruben Neves. Yeah, Ruben Neves is the main one. They get him back into midfield, then I think they have a chance of winning. But I've got it down as a 1-1. This is actually a massive game for both clubs. It really, really is. Even this early in the season, I know there's only 14 games gone. There's loads to go. 24 games left to play. But this feels to me like one that if you're going into the new year sat on 10 points, it's a long haul back to just build your confidence. You could be in trouble there.
Yeah, Joe, what are you going for?
Is it at Everton?
Everton, yeah. We've got a couple of 2-1 Everton to the chat. We've got a 1-0 Wolves.
I think Wolves will win, but it's at Goodison. 1-1.
1-1. Excellent. Right, let's go to the opposite end of the table now in terms of the form guide. We've got Leicester at home to Newcastle, and I've got to be honest, this crept up on me when I was doing some research for a change.
Mm-hmm.
Newcastle second in the form guide. That doesn't surprise me. 5 wins, 1 draw. No real surprise there. Leicester are third in the form guide for the last 6 games. 4 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss. I can't be honest, that crept up on me. I knew Leicester had an upturn. They were actually as good as that. Which also makes this a more difficult game. Makes more of a difficult than I thought it would be for Newcastle. I actually thought it would be a walkover. When you look at this, how they've done, you're going, that's actually more tricky than I thought.
But look, a lot of Leicester's upturn in form has come from Maddison basically deciding to show people that this is why I need to be in the England squad. And
could this be Maddison's audition for his January move?
Yes, definitely. And it's a move that Newcastle should be making 100%. But
the big blow for Newcastle
at the same time,
So you kind of like.
No, I was going to say his upturn in form has coincided with Leicester's ability to defend better and have that threat going the other way. Harvey Barnes has improved as well. They're a good side. They always were in a false position. We know that. They just started the season badly. They were in a false position, but
the new centre back they got looks quite decent. His name I can't remember. He's got fabulous hair. The big hair fella. I
couldn't remember his name an hour ago.
Wout face.
That's him. Him coming into the side has definitely given them some stability there, which is what they've lacked.
The Alexi Lalas wannabe.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah, and they've done better with Vardy's, and they haven't overplayed Vardy now. They have started to phase Vardy in and out, which I think means when Vardy is playing, they're getting Vardy at his best because they're not running him into the ground, which is probably what they did last year. The blow for Newcastle is, I think they've got a press conference that Isak still got a bit of a way to go, and he's not going to play at all over the Christmas period. So it's definitely January time before he's back, which for them's a blow, because then it's either Chris Wood up front or it depends how Callum Wilson has come back off England. You think he'd probably be okay. But that is a blow for Newcastle because that's probably what they were banking on is Isak back for Christmas period.
Well, I look at it with Newcastle. They have to take the pressure off Callum Wilson. Callum Wilson, when he's fit and he's available, he's a threat. He's a really good forward, and we'll get on to another one when we talk about Villa. Him and Danny Ings, they're one and the same player. If you can get them fit and firing and healthy, they're a live threat, but they can't do it for long enough to sustain being the main man. And you can see why they went for Isak. You know, Bruno Guimaraes has been a revelation. He's been a brilliant signing. They've done everything right. Newcastle are solid. They're hard to beat. They don't concede many, and they have a threat going the other way. So they're not in the top 4 positions for nothing. I think they'll stay there. I think they'll get top 4 this year. But this is the game of the weekend. The game of the weekend. It's the one fixture that I'm looking at and I'm thinking I just want to watch it. It's got everything.
I'm still not yet convinced of the top of and so I feel like at Europe. The only reason being is we're not even halfway through the season yet. Although it feels like we are, we're not. But I think now enough teams have seen what Newcastle can do and how difficult they are. Is I would say how Newcastle cope when people treat them like City are coming to town or Arsenal coming to town. They go, we're all going to sit back, low block, break us down. City and Arsenal have all got used to that. That's the challenge that I think they'll have to face, and they'll have to face that anyway because that's going to be coming regularly soon because people fear what they are, which is a really difficult side to play. So that's the challenge for them, which is probably why they want Isak back so quickly because him and Guimaraes just give them something else. And they're probably hoping Almiron can carry on the form that he's been in because before the World Cup, Almiron was probably one of the most informed players in the league.
Yeah, and you got the other side of it as well. You've got St. Maximin back available. Yeah. He's not fully fit, but he played a bit in the League Cup game the other night. Came off the bench. He's another option that they haven't had. So you add him into the mix. This is what I mean. This is what I look at this Leicester game.
Rested Sven Botman as well because I don't think he didn't go to the World Cup, did he? Which was probably a bit of a surprise.
But both sides have threat going the other way. Leicester have figured out a way to defend and to be a bit more solid and compact while having that threat in the counter. And Newcastle are solid at the back and have that exciting player in St. Maximin and Almiron who you just want to watch them. You watch football for players like that.
Yeah.
So, it's definitely the game I'm looking forward to watching the most over the Christmas, this group of fixtures anyway, for sure. How it goes.
What score are you going, Kev? Come on.
I just glancing over there now. See, I went 2-1 Newcastle, but I think it'll just be one of those exciting games. It'll be end to end. And I'm really looking forward to it. Cool. I think that could be a good game just to sit down with a few cans, belly full of food, a couple of sandwiches on the go, and just sit down and watch that.
Sounds good.
I'll be happy with that.
Joe, what are you going for?
Newcastle, I think will get top. No, India, they will. I think they will. I think they're going to go in January, and we'll see. 2-0. 2-0.
Cool. I'm going 1-1. Right, let's do 2 quick fire games before then we go on to the last 2 big fixtures of the Christmas period. So, Chelsea at home to Bournemouth. Kev, what are you going for?
We're 3-1 Chelsea, but I haven't the flaming clue. And that's the thing with Chelsea. I don't know because I don't know if Kovacic is back. And I look at the rest of them and I think they're an absolute mess. Potter has not really stamped his authority on that squad yet, and he's got to need time. It's just that club is notorious for not giving time to managers. And you look at Steven Gerrard and you look at the decisions that managers make when picking clubs and owners, and if it goes wrong, it goes badly wrong. I think at Chelsea, the same thing applies to Potter. It's like there's so much wrong in that side. It's so imbalanced, that squad, that it needs an awful lot of work. And they've lined up Nkunku for the summer. Lovely, great signing, but they need a lot more than that. I think they've got enough to beat Bournemouth. Bournemouth have been they've been a much better side than the side that we beat in the league, but I just don't see them going to Chelsea and getting a win. But at the same time, Chelsea just ain't right, man. There's something really wrong at that club in a big way.
I've gone 2-0. I've gone 2-0 Chelsea. Joe, your favourite club? What are you going for?
Yeah, I have to agree with yourself and say 2-0. I think Graham Potter's too good of a manager. He'll start to get a tune out of them soon enough.
I hope he does. I genuinely do, because I agree with you. I think he's a great manager. He's got the potential to be a really top end manager.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that club.
Do you think if it doesn't work out at Chelsea and they go, you got sacked by Chelsea, it's becoming a bit of a, well, who doesn't?
Yeah,
there's quite a lot of top managers that they've all been sacked by Chelsea at some point. So it's probably not as big a blow to his career in some ways, because Potter's a good manager. We've seen what he can do. So I think it doesn't work out at Chelsea, I'm sure he'll get the right move at some point. Right, the other one is Man United against Nottingham Forest. I've gone 3-0 Man United.
I'll go with you on that one as well. I think they'll walk over them.
I think so.
I actually went 3-2. And the only reason I went 3-2 is because I look at Forest, they have pace.
Hey, listen, it's a 3-2 game. I might watch it.
Yeah, but it's one of those, isn't it? It's like they have pace and they're young. They're still learning how to play with each other. It's like you got Jesse Lingard going back to United. He's going to want to try and put on something. Brendan Johnson is quick. United really, without Ronaldo, are a much better side. As much as they boil my blood.
This run United have got now is the run they need to get them, really solidified in that top four race, because I think the next 3 games,
I think they'll win it.
Sides they should be winning. So
I think they'll win it, but I don't think it's going to be a stroll in the park. Forest can be stubborn at times. The only difference is Old Trafford, that pitch is really big, wide, and if you want to press a side, you can look silly if you're not organised and don't do it in the right ways. But at the same time, Manchester United looked like the kind of club without Ronaldo, get a tune out of Rashford.
They look like they're playing
Bruno
to a plan.
Fernandes will get back to his best.
But they look like they're playing to a plan.
Yeah, they do.
You can also say United don't look like they're playing to a plan. Whereas you look at the way they line up, you're going, the way they line up, that suits the strengths of all their best players, which they haven't been doing for 2-3 years. They've always had good players. They just have been like pigeonholing them, or not had the managers had the bollocks to go, I know you're a good player, but you're on the bench today because the balance of the side means this is what we need to pick. So you've got to give the manager credit. He's getting a tune out of them and getting the tune out of them really well. Right. So last 2 games we'll go through. It's a Boxing Day game, so we'll go through the later kickoff, which is Arsenal at home to West Ham. Arsenal, no surprise, top of the form guide, 5 wins, 1 draw. West Ham form for the last 6 games is 1 win, 1 draw, 4 losses. Arsenal West Ham is normally a tasty game, but I can't see anything other than an Arsenal win at home. If it was at West Ham, I think it'd be more tricky, but I can't quite decide which West Ham side turns up at the moment. What do you think, Kev?
Arsenal without a striker to link the play up is a different thing. Gabriel Jesus could be a real big miss for them for the next couple of months. Eddie Nketiah doesn't offer that. He doesn't have that ability to link play in the same way, but at the same time, he's just a different type of striker. They're still really good. They're playing really well. West Ham just don't look like the West Ham that we've seen over the last couple of years. Too many players off the boil. Too many new signings looking to find their feet in the league. I've got it down as a 2-1 Arsenal. But this is going to be an acid test now for Arsenal, these next group of fixtures, to see how they handle playing without Gabriel Jesus. Because Arteta hasn't had to change much about the core players that he plays with in the league this season so far. He's generally been really lucky and fortunate with injuries. So be interesting to see how Arsenal cope with this. They should come through this one, but it's not going to stop. The tests for the next 6-8 weeks are just going to keep coming for them.
Joe, how are you seeing this? Do you think Arsenal dip into the markets to bring somebody in, or try and bring a summer transfer forward?
Yeah,
or do they just go with what they've got?
No, I think Arteta's on record as saying they will get someone. I really like Mudryk as well. I know he doesn't play up top, but he'd be a great signing for Arsenal. I really like Arsenal. I like what they're doing. I just think defensively they're really, really good as well. And West Ham, like you say, there's even some West Ham fans think that Moyes could end up getting the boot if he's not careful, which is a mad sequence of events, really. But they're just not playing well enough, and he's spent a lot of money, and I'm not quite sure he's the best manager to get the best out of players like Paqueta and stuff. So
that's often been a criticism of Moyes, isn't it? Is he gets the best out of smaller squads and a tight budget when he's given a bit like free reign.
Yeah.
He seems to perhaps doesn't quite have the eye for it, which seems unusual because West Ham will go down a route Liverpool went down for a long time. It was a very heavy statistical route for recruitment, but I don't know if they've got away from that. But they seem to have signed good players, but like Kev said, it's just not clicking, is it, at the moment?
No, it's not. And I mean, obviously, I speak to Corey regularly. I think West Ham was starting to see themselves as a top 7, top 8 side. You know what I mean? Especially with the acquisitions they've made in terms of always challenging. But come the end of the season, they might not even be challenging for them positions. You know what I mean? So that's really a bad season for West Ham. I suppose when Moyes first came in, they were all like, "Oh, relegation maybe," but now. That's what I'm saying. The expectations change all the time, don't they? And I think he'll be all right, man. They've got too many good players, but we were talking about it earlier. Like Jared Bowen's just fallen off a cliff. He's fallen off a cliff, and he was great.
The Italian striker they got has not quite hit the ground running.
Scamacca.
Is him enough though? He won't. I don't know why he didn't. For me, I think Moyes is too wedded to the same players all the time. You know what I mean? I don't think he ever really gave Vlasic a chance. I still don't think he's gave Ben Rama a decent enough chance. It was the same all the time. Fornells, Bowen, Rice. It's the same personnel. Souček, Soufal. Souček's been bad, man, and he still plays him week in, week out. So it's the same players week in, week out, and I think that's the problem.
Yeah. What score are you going, Joe?
Arsenal 2-0.
Cool. I'll go for a George Graham 1-0 to the Arsenal. Just because that's one of those games where I think it'll be quite a turgid game, but Arsenal will have too much. Probably like an Odegaard free kick or something like that will be enough, because they are better defensively now than they have been for a long time. Right, so let's talk about the last game because it is the Liverpool podcast. So let's talk about Aston Villa versus Liverpool. Aston Villa won't have Martinez in goal, which is probably a good thing after his heroics in the World Cup. Interestingly, the manager
who's the backup goalkeeper these days?
Is Olsen.
Is it Robert Olsen?
He used to be at Everton.
Yeah, I remember.
Apparently, he's been carrying a knock as well, but I think Unai Emery said he should be fine for he should be fit enough for the game. So on Villa away, Kev, it's always a tough one. We've got not a bad record there for wins, but they're always tight,
dodgy.
They're always tight.
Late goals.
Yeah.
I don't expect this to be any different. Look,
no, me neither.
Unai Emery is a really good manager, really good. Despite what happened with him at Arsenal, everywhere else he's gone, he's done well. Even at PSG, with the egos that were at that club, he got them playing good, solid football, and he's got a good record against us. So I look at Villa and I look at what they've got, what they're capable of lining up with. If they play 4-4-2, which I think they probably will, man, this is going to be hard. This is going to be really tough. If we're not on it, then we're not getting 3 points. We have to be at it. There was enough in last night's performance to show me that the players that we need to be at it, the minutes they got in the legs against City will do them good. They needed that. It was almost like a blow the cobwebs off of them just to get back into the routine of it. They needed that kind of game last night, the intensity of that game, to just, you're not in the preseason game against Lyon or AC Milan anymore. You're back again, and it's going to be hard. Villa away is going to be tough. It's going to be a hard game.
And they've had 4 friendlies with most of the squad, haven't they? So that's also, they're probably going to be quite sharp, to be fair, as well.
Emre will have been drilling them, not just to focus on us, but he'll have been drilling them to set up to be more defensively sound, solid, and to, when they attack, to attack in the right way and to have better patterns of play. And the only thing you look at, you think, if you've got Tyrone Mings playing, you're going to get chances. Tyrone Mings is that kind of defender. You will get chances against someone like him. But you have to take them. We had chances last night. We didn't take them.
One of these days, this Red Steve score prediction is going to come off. He said it now I think he said it now for the whole year. At some point, that's going to come off.
Steve's been saying that for the last 3 years, man.
Yeah, 6-0 goes with the 4th. One of these days, it'll come off just as he called it.
Yeah, look, there's a lot to like about the Villa. Look, the squad that Gerrard built was a good squad. There's plenty of good players in there. And he bought them. There's an awful lot of the players that you look at them and you think they're around the 20, 30 million pound mark. And you think they needed a better manager, a more experienced manager to come in and gel them into a more cohesive unit. And I think, look, if you were to offer me one player out of Villa now, I'd take Jacob Ramsey in a heartbeat. I would snap him up and give him to Klopp and say, here, mold me the next wide forward or the next wide attacking midfielder for Liverpool. And he's a brilliant young talent.
He's wonderful. He is. He's really, really good.
Laszlo, you're a miserable old so-and-so.
Laszlo's gone 2-1 to the Villa. Tom Ball's gone 3-0 Salah hat-trick. Joe, how are you seeing this game? Obviously, good. We need to get an unbiased view, don't we, of this?
Yeah, of course. Listen, I think Villa Park's going to be a very, very tough place to go. Very, very tough place to go. Since he's come in, they've beat Man United and Brighton in the Premier League. So Unai Emery's obviously, I agree with Kev. I think he's a great manager. I think he was underappreciated. Even statistically, I think he was quite a success at Arsenal. I think
for a long time he had a better record than
Wenger,
Arteta.
So yeah, it will be a difficult place to go, and it wouldn't surprise me if they did get a result.
Especially with our away form. Our away form is atrocious. Exactly. I think it's one away win all season.
Yeah, so do you know what? I think they might beat you.
Oh, get off, Joe. See, look, even the dog disagrees. Even the dog disagreed. The dog's like, oh, come on.
No, I think your away form, I think, like I say, Unai Emery now, 2 wins at home against Man United and Brighton. They're very tough fixtures. So I think they beat you 2-1.
Okay, we're banning Joe.
And Dicko, you're all good, mate. Absolutely no problem whatsoever, my man. You're no bother whatsoever after that. No worries.
Cool. Kev, pick us a starting 11 for Liverpool.
Alisson, Trent, Matip, Virgil, Robertson, Fabinho, Henderson, Thiago, Salah, Darwin, and Chamberlain.
Okay. The only one I think might be a debate is, only with his injury record, is that turnover too quick for Thiago?
No, because he only did 70 minutes. So
it's an intense 70 though.
Yeah, I know, but I still think you need to get an hour out of him.
Yeah, needs to get an hour with a lead, otherwise we're going to see. Going to struggle, because I think bench wise you're probably looking at Kelleher, Ramsey, Simicast, either Gomez or Phillips, Keita, Carvalho, Elliott, and there's probably 2 kids there, probably Bajcetic and it's probably Doak.
Yeah, Bobby might be available. Bobby might be available for the bench. They said they were taking it day by day.
I think
there's
he's
still
out.
a chance.
I can't see Bobby before.
No,
New
I think you could see him on the bench. I think it's possible that you might not see Trent either.
Yeah, he's talking him down, isn't he, about
yeah, he was talking him down, but I think I just think you have to go with the strongest available 11 you can. The only one that's up for debate really for me is the left wing. Do you go with Chamberlain, who's a bit more experienced, who can tuck into that left midfield role and offer you something, or he could swap into that false 9 role and give Darwin the left wing, or do you go with Carvalho?
Or you could put Chamberlain on the right, which we've done before, and play Salah through the middle and keep Darwin left.
No, I think Salah.
It gives you options, but it's not the options we want, really.
I don't think Klopp will do that. I think Klopp is experimented enough that he's going to stick with the 4. If he was going to do anything different, he'd have done it in the pre-season that they've had off. In those 4 weeks, I think he'd have. If he was going to make adjustments, he's not going to throw it out with the bathwater after a loss to City away. I think he'll stick to what he knows, and Salah will play on that right wing. And I honestly think that if you're going to play someone on the left, I don't mind Chamberlain doing it because he's got a good eye for a pass. We saw that last night with the assist for the assist. Really, it was the assist for the assist for the goal just after half when he just came on. But he made a couple of good passes like that, and he can also cut in on his right foot. And he can shoot from distance, and it's a threat that we don't have because, look, let's be honest, we don't have goals in midfield. We don't have goals coming from the back, about the odd 1 or 2 from Virgil for set pieces. But we're really heavily dependent on goals from Salah, and Darwin has to start converting the chances that he's getting. But
yeah, I mean, I think Darwin's record at the moment is 9 goals in 19 in all comps, so it's not atrocious. It's just that. Yeah. Let's be fair, he does miss a lot of chances. I mean, look, there's been plenty of good strikers that have played for many big clubs who do miss a lot of chances. But, like you said last night, at least he's not hiding. If he misses 2, the third one comes, he's still going for it, which is what you want. We've had plenty of Liverpool strikers who miss 2 and you don't see them for the rest of the game. They're very, very defensive. So I've gone for 2-1, Salah to get 2, Ings to get 1 for them, and Ings to put them 1-0 up, because let's be honest, that's the way the season goes. It's always Liverpool 1-0 down, and then we just see what happens.
You can't keep doing that, though, mate.
I hope I'm wrong. I'd love a comfortable win, but I think even when Liverpool are at their best, we never get a comfortable game at Villa. It's just some of
the stuff that I've been reading, mate, about the first half of those 14 games. Look, we're actually not in a bad run of form at the minute.
No, our current run of form is actually for the last 6 games 5th. It doesn't feel like it, but it's 5th.
Yeah,
4 wins, 2 losses. But I think you saw a stat there. We're giving away on average too many big chances. I think our expected goals to concede is 23.
Yeah,
we've only conceded 17, and I think they said that's more down to Alisson. I think we're giving away now.
Yeah,
more an average 2 more big chances again than we were last season. That's the big issue. We're working Alisson too much.
Yeah, and you look at the other side. I mean, look, that's all coming from midfield. It just is. They don't have the legs or the energy to be able to cover. And it's I suppose it's up front as well. I mean, when we were at our absolute best, the pressing came from the front, supplemented by the midfield. Well, and if you can get through all of that, you've got Virgil and Matip to go through then. And sides were just like beaten before they were facing that. But the problem now they're getting through us, and they're just getting through us way too easy.
Last season we had 7 attacking options last year.
Yeah,
so you can afford 1 or 2 players.
This is why January is so important. January is so important for us, man. It is. It's not even funny now. It's ridiculous. The fact that 2 of our real threats, Diogo Jota and Diaz, are going to be missing for, until the latter half of this season.
Diaz is March if we're lucky. Jota apparently is starting to do some training, so Jota might be a bit earlier than February, but not much earlier.
Yeah,
but do you want him coming back early because he's was it three muscle
Three
injuries
muscle
so far?
injuries now, yeah. I think
You
a
know.
decision needs to be made on Diogo Jota come the summer, to be fair.
Mm.
Otherwise you could end up with a forward with the Naby Keita reputation.
Yeah, or if you got,
and I love Diogo Jota, I really do. I think he's a brilliant player, but
or as you said, do you bring another striker in and then
yes,
I mean, if you have the other striker in, you're just saying to Diogo, well, if you're fit, you fight for your spot, but then you don't feel the loss of it as much. You can carry the odd couple of players with an injury issue. The problem is we're carrying too many.
Yeah,
that's the problem. You carry one or two, but we're carrying 3, 4, and 5 who've got questionable injury records. That's where the balance of the squad's gone wrong, in my opinion. But we'll see what it is. But
they're going to have to do something. Look, I've got it down for 2-1 for Liverpool, but
who you goal scorers? You know the rules.
Yeah, I think Darwin gets off the mark, and I think Salah gets the other one. For Villa, I'd agree with you, Danny Ings. I think Danny Ings is just one of those players that likes to crop up with a goal against his old clubs. Yeah, and Klopp was waxing lyrical about him today.
Yeah, Klopp very said if you want to say, and he did say it like inverted commas. I said didn't make it at Liverpool. He said it was just because he kept getting injuries. He said so he couldn't get a run, and when he was fit, the front three we had at the time were flying. So he couldn't get a game. So he couldn't get a game then.
Yeah, Danny Ings at Liverpool wasn't down to his ability; it was down to his availability and the fact that when he got fit, he wanted to go and play, which is what any self-respecting footballer should want. If you're not getting a game at the club you're at, you want to be moved to a club where you're going to play. And he's reinvented his career, and all the best to him because I really like him. Just not this week, not on the 26th.
Yeah, I know. That's the joy you've got to do. Yeah. Oh, we go. Archie has a question for Joe. I dread to think what the answer is going to be to this, but we may as well. Let's upset everyone again. Bellingham to Liverpool. Do you say yes or no? I don't think it's. Do you say yes or no? Do you think it will happen? Kev thinks it. Kev, you think it does, don't you? I'm skeptical.
I think it's an absolute look. The only reason I think Bellingham is it's a no-brainer to me, and I don't care wherever he ends up, it's free money. You're getting a 19-year-old kid who's going to be an absolute superstar. That if you get him for 5 years, at 24 years of age, you'll sell him for a profit. If you can keep him, you've got a player that you can build your club around for the next decade. And I think you have to do whatever it takes to get him. But there's probably only 5 clubs in world football that can get him. It's Real Madrid, Man City, PSG, Manchester United, and ourselves. That could probably afford him. And then it's down to the player. Ultimately, and you get this, I get this whiff off Bellingham more than I do of any other player. Bellingham will decide where he wants to go based on his career. Yeah. And based on where he wants his career trajectory to go. That's how I see it.
He won't go to Man United. I don't think he goes to Real Madrid. I think he wants to return to the Premier League. There's only 2 clubs, I think, Liverpool, City. I think the only issue Liverpool have is if they don't get Europe, like Champions League. Like, it's conceivable. If you don't get Champions League this season, Bellingham's never, that's not happening, is it? Let's be real. Yeah. So, it's going to be... at that point, it'll be City, free run. I just don't see him moving to Spain. I think I get he's gone to Germany, but what I'm saying is he's English. He'll want to prove himself in the Premier League. So I think he makes a move to the Premier League. And then, like Kev says, you're getting him for 10 years. I might be wrong. Maybe he goes to Spain. But I think English players want to do it in the Premier League. I think. That's my thought.
No, I agree. 100%.
It all depends on how you finish this season. All depends, doesn't it?
Yeah. Also, too, the other thing is, it's not like Bellingham solves all our problems. He solves a big problem, but...
but he's not good.
No, I'm not denying he isn't, but if Liverpool sign Bellingham, that doesn't solve all Liverpool's midfield issues. They definitely need...
We're losing three midfielders in the summer. We're losing Naby, we're losing Milner, we're losing Ox.
And you're probably losing Bobby at the moment as well.
And at the moment, we're losing Firmino as well.
I reckon Bellingham covers all three of them.
Well, he could probably cover their minutes, because let's be honest, it won't take much to cover their minutes.
It wouldn't take much, but the thing is,
it's phenomenal.
Yeah, he fucking is.
Well, you know what I mean.
The scary thing is,
if he goes to, you need depth. You need depth below him as well.
Yeah, of course you do. But the scary thing is, if he goes to Real Madrid to replace Modric, and you've got him, Tchouaméni, Valverde, Camavinga,
ridiculous, isn't it?
That's. I mean, I go out of my way to find a flight to Madrid to go and watch that. You know, and I wouldn't be any great lover of Real Madrid whatsoever, but that's a team. That's a Galactico midfield for the 21st century.
That's a team.
Really
but that's your midfield for 10 years. That is literally, that's proper future-proofing your team for 10 years.
Yeah, and the thing is, they're going to lose Modric. They're going to lose Kroos. It's not like they don't have the money in their wage ability to be able to do it. They can.
Yeah. Joe, Ant wants to know, who's your player of the season? I don't know if that's Premier League in total or Leeds. So give us both.
Erling Haaland.
I was going to say, I think that's the easiest one. So I assume it might be a Leeds. Who's your best? Who's been Leeds' top performer this year?
Tyler Adams.
He had a good World Cup, didn't he?
He had a good World Cup.
Brilliant. Youngest captain. I think he'll captain Leeds United after Cooper moves on.
Yeah, no, he's another smart son. I like him. I think he's a smart son. He was really good in the Anfield game.
Yeah,
which was really annoying at the time. I've got to admit, but he was very good. Yeah. Cool. Right, Joe. Before we go, where can everyone find you?
Just your football show. You'll probably see me crying as City put 7 past us on Wednesday. So come and watch that. We also have Kev on weekly on a Friday at 8 o'clock doing Premier League show. So join us for that.
Awesome. Kev, everyone knows where they can find you because
always fucking here, mate.
You know, it's always you and me at 10 o'clock here. That's all. That's all.
Ain't going to change. But no, look, I just want to wish everyone in the chat happy Christmas. Hope you all have a brilliant one. Enjoy it, make the most of it, and look forward to the football on Monday. But between now and then, have a great time. Stuff your faces, drink loads of cans, enjoy yourselves, and we'll see you on Monday after the game.
Yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. And listen, Kev and I, we've really enjoyed doing the full time, haven't we? But we do have a laugh. We do have a laugh with it, so we do enjoy doing that. So
yeah,
the plan post Christmas is Boxing Day. There will be a full time res after Villa. Not quite sure who's doing it yet because me and Kev are both.
Well, no, I'm around for the 26th. I'm not around for the 27th.
Oh well, I'm getting drunk on the 26th.
Yeah,
so
no, I'm having a belated.
It won't be me.
Well, I'm having a belated 50th, and my sister is turning 40 on Christmas Day.
Oh, nice.
So we're having a joint kind of belated birthday party on the 27th. So that should be a bit of fun.
Okay. Cool. And then 20th December, we're going to do another history show, which is I'm gate crashing it with Gav. So if you've not seen them, it's a good laugh.
They're actually really good. Really good.
We just pick the week we're in and say, this is what happened this week over the years. And just, whether it's interesting games, interesting signings, just mad things happen around Liverpool. But it's good to reminisce. But also, we realise, obviously, looking at the chat, there are people in the chat who, like I said, we talked about Rob Jones. We realise quite a few in the chat who don't know who Rob Jones is because it's not of their era. But it's also great to hear what people's views of certain games were, where they were, how young people were, or just how you misremember things. And it's always good fun.
I still feel sick after watching the show last week when you were talking about Nicholas and Elka. How we let that one get away at the time was criminal. It was absolutely criminal that we let him get away.
We had the other one that was like a bit like that was the Bowyer one. Do you remember the Bowyer one? It was literally he was in the ground. He'd been in the training ground, had the picture taken. Jared Hooley met him. And I think Phil Thompson's story has said it's like he doesn't want to be here. It's almost like Leeds needed to get rid of him, and Bowyer gave the impression he didn't want to be here, and Hooley pulled the plug on it at the very last minute because there's a bit of a backlash about signing him.
Yeah,
Bowyer, that's when Bowyer was near his peak because he was ridiculous. He was ridiculously good for Leeds. Bowyer, ridiculously good player. Right, until then, listen, guys. Thanks for watching. all you have a really, really great Christmas. Joe, thanks for coming on. I've no doubt we'll get you back on again very soon. Until then, guys, take care of yourselves. We'll speak to you all very, very soon.
Oh.